Hi folks, Ken Ring, www.predictweather.com. This is part 2 of our talk about jet streams. Now in the northern hemisphere, cold air is drawn southwards when the new moon and perigee, if they occur together, and if they're going southwards in terms of the declination cycle. Now that has been happening, and it's been happening in the summer of the northern hemisphere. And whenever the new moon and perigee are doing it, now because it's not always the case, sometimes it's the new moon, it's the full moon and perigee in the summertime. Sometimes it's the first quarter moon, and this swaps around. But when it's the new moon and the perigee in the summertime going southwards, that's when you get this. What has actually happened over the recent weeks. And so when it's going in the southward declination, it's a cooling factor on the atmosphere in the south of the northern hemisphere. Aha, you're thinking, because that's actually what you might have been reading about in terms of the jet stream causing the Pakistani floods. So for this month of August, the perigee new moon has been changing hemispheres, trekking from north to south since the 6th of August. 6th of August, it was the furthest point north, and just beginning to come southwards, and drawing the weather southwards, and this draws the jet streams southwards. And the result is the type of flooding rains that have occurred in Pakistan and other equatorial regions like South China, the parts of the world that are getting their summer monsoons. And it's interesting that on the 6th of August, which was the day that this southward trek started, eastern Germany received intense rain and flooding. Now on the other hand, Russia is a long way from the equator and misses that lower jet stream. So it doesn't have the modifying effects of the cooler jet stream overhead. And so it gets more than its share of summer heat. Well, this has happened before. This same jet stream pattern led to flooding in the UK during June and July of 2007. They had wet summers over Western Europe in both 2008 and 2009. And in June and July 2007, throughout the summers of 2008-2009, the new moon was in perigee. And that pattern began around about 2007, because in mid-June of 2007, the new moon was in perigee, whereas in June 2006, the new moon wasn't quite in perigee. So in July of 2007, Russia also experienced heat waves, and particularly Greece, you might remember, which suffered widespread fires. They were afraid the whole country was going to burn up. And even in 2007, Southeast Europe's heat and the UK's wet weather, they were blamed even then on changes in the jet stream, which had taken a more southerly path across Europe in that year. But nobody hooks it up to the moon. Nobody says, well, maybe the new moon, the perigee, nobody does that. Because they don't want you to know that you can predict this kind of thing. Well, the Russian heat wave of 2007, here's an example for you. It occurred right at the end of May, from May the 27th to June of 2007, because the perigee moon started going south just after May the 20th in that year, displacing high pressure to the north, and meant the build-up of heat from the ground took a few days to develop, and there you go, heat wave. Another way of looking at it is that when the jet streams wander north in the northern hemisphere, they lose their strength because they're out of the moon's declination range. That's the range that the moon moves between the hemispheres, which is 28 degrees north to 28 degrees south, and Russia is right above that. Well, in the northern hemisphere, when this thing meanders northward, you get ridges of high pressure that give cloudless skies, and in the summer, hot temperatures on the ground. And the southward meanderings of the jet stream, they become troughs of low pressure that give cloud and rain. And that's basically what's happening. Meanwhile, in the eastern half of the northern hemisphere, cold air drawn southwards towards the Asian monsoon region, the jet stream moved south. It moved into a trough that crossed the mountains over northern Pakistan, and right into the area where they were already having monsoon rains, so it intensified those rains. Look, what else other than something like the moon can drag all that air backwards and forwards? Now the weather is pushed in the same path as the winds, and that dictates what surface weather is like. Generally the strongest part of the jet stream is when the wave begins to bend upwards in the northern hemisphere or down in the southern hemisphere. So you can kind of watch for that in the isobaric maps on the news. Storms that form near the jet stream, they'll follow the jet stream's path. And in the northern hemisphere, the jet stream dipping south, that'll bring cold air further south. Ridging, or the jet stream displaced further north, that'll bring warm air further north. In New Zealand, when the jet stream dips south, we'll get warmer air displacing towards the north, which indicates warmer weather, because when it comes down, it's equatorial air pushing it down. And when it swings north in New Zealand, temperatures will be cooler because it swings, it's got that cooler air below it. So it actually swings further north in winter and further south in summer. And the jet streams are stronger in the winter because there's more contrast between the cold air in the poles and the warm air at the equator. And in the summertime, the temperature difference is less extreme between those air masses, so the jet stream is weaker. During La Nina events, which is the normal situation, El Nino is a bit of an anomaly to straighten things out. In the La Nina, in the southern hemisphere, the south polar stream moves more to the south. Well, at this time of speaking, the jet stream's dipping over the North Island. It's bringing some stormy weather, well, it has done the past couple of days, but also some milder temperatures. And you can see on the maps the jet stream is kind of come down a bit onto where Dargaville kind of goes across to Whangarei there. Now, this is going to change because new moon and perigees don't stay like that. The full moons and perigees, well, they're going to take over and change the trend and the position of the jet streams, and they're going to take over in a few years' time. 2012, the northern hemisphere summer and our winter in New Zealand here, that will be when the full moon and the perigee are in the months of June and July, around there. And down here in New Zealand in 2012, the jet streams will be dipping downwards, and that will bring us a very much milder winter. So I'm expecting, a few droughts around then, something not to look forward to, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this between now and then. Meantime, I'm sorry if it's been a bit long-winded, and I hope you've grasped at least some of what these jet streams are. Don't worry about them. It's got nothing to do with global warming. It's just a normal thing, and it's a cycle of the moon that rolls over and changes in its trends. Thanks for watching.